Now this is exactly as I have received the packaging shipped to me from overseas. It's had slightly more manhandling than it was necessary, and in the process FedEx have done quite a bit of damage to the packaging. I've received many gentle rollers over the years, and this is the worst condition I've ever received any package. You can see here, quite badly torn. There's another gash here on this box. There's another gash under the bottom, and as we'll see on the roller assembly, there's a few gashes on that box as well. Now, I'm not worried about that because we'll find out whether the packaging holds up to the rigours of long distance transport. Now what I've got here is a gentle roller with filling drum. The filling drum is this box and this box. This one, as it says on the side, contains the filling drum panels, and this one contains the filling drum components. If you didn't order a filling drum, you'll only receive 2 boxes, the roller assembly and the control assembly, or the roller housing and the control assembly. But if you ordered a gentle roller with filling drum, you'll have 4 boxes. The only thing you'll need initially to do the assembly is a Stanley knife, as we call it here, or a box cutter as it's called elsewhere, and it's probably got other names as well. I'm going to begin by putting the roller assembly together. So I'll just put the filling drum aside, and put the motor aside, and I'll get on with the roller assembly. My Parkinson's is playing up quite badly at the moment, so excuse my jitters and jerky movements. I'll fast forward some of the more tedious parts. So let's get on with it. I'll begin by putting this aside. Now I mentioned that the roller assembly box was a bit damaged, and we can see under the bottom here there's some forklift damage here. There's a dent in here. There's a bigger dent over here. There's some damage to the corner here. The roller assembly has some double boxing, so hopefully that's going to hold it in good stead.
You'll find you'll need to slice through the tape in some areas.
Wherever you have to slice the tape, try not to dig it too deeply because we don't want to damage what's below.
So just insert the knife edge a couple of millimeters. Just to get through that tape. The first thing you'll find is that the roller housing is double box, and this top box contains, excuse me while I'm throwing my Parkinson's. This top box contains all the rollers, which I'm making up.
Okay, be very careful on this one not to put the blade in too deeply, because inside here are your rollers.
Your crossframe pieces, you'll find the crossframe in the poly bag, and we should this one on this way. Right, and we've got to put the rollers in the poly bag.
But you'll need to open the roller assembly box. You can see there it's full of rollers because we need the component kit. I'll just put that there.
So I'm just going to put the roller assembly away from it. And in front of the box,
You'll find the tray and the inserts and the cross frame all in one package. And you'll notice at the bottom of the box there's a cardboard insert So that's saved the forklift damage from the base. There's no damage to my cardboard insert. So the damage we saw before on the bottom of the carton hasn't punctured through.
That's a good nick, actually. So that's positive. And this one, we'll unpack. There's a tray and square base and 2 implants. And I think these are pre-made for you. Ready to go. And a tray, and a base frame in position. So, let's see what we're doing here.
Now what you'll find is an Allen key, a hex drive for your motor drive. I'm going to put that with the motor.
And click back where you put your cuts. A number of occasions people cut it to saying,
You'll find there are 12 screws and there are 3 different types of screws. There's a 30mm flat-faced countersunk screw, a 30mm one of those. There's a 20mm flat-faced countersunk screw. There are 4 of those. Finally, there are 4 25mm dome head screws. They all have a different function, so we'll keep them in their little piles. And we can take either panel. I like to take the panel with bearing first and put that on the left because that's where the motor will sit. The longer screws are for the base. Just get that started. Take another one. And I'll just get it started with my fingers. I'm just going to tighten up these now. You can do those 2 up quite tight
because this is coming.
Then take a crossbar and put it in with the 20mm screw. Now on this occasion I'm not going to put that in too tight. I just want to hold it in place and be confident it's not going to fall out. And the reason I'm not going to tighten it is because I need to find my way into this end panel. So I'm going to quickly whip the top screws in first.
My right hand is not working very well today. I'll just get those in.
Just far enough that they're not going to fall out. And then I'll get my base screws in and put them in firm. And now I can tighten the crossbar. And the crossbar, we want the curvature to be up and out slightly.
So holding that up and out. Probably just needs to be an inch out of straight. So that's it. Beautiful. So up and out slightly.
The reason you want them out slightly is so when you open the filling drum, it will lean backwards and the doors will hold open. It also has a nicer look if the crossbars are slightly facing outwards.
So there you have it. Roll assembly is done. Slide that there. So let's get the motor assembly. Next drive.
We've had a slight jump in the video because my camera failed twice, so this is take 3. And I don't have the packaging to show you, but the motor housing will arrive in 2 cardboard boxes, one inside the other for the protection. So take your motor housing out. The other thing you'll find in your motor housing box is your power pack, and should have a pin for your country. And we want to assemble the motor housing or the control housing to the roller assembly. Now, I don't know if you can pick it up fully on the camera, but my table is a bit wonky. It's not flat, and the bubble doesn't particularly help in this case. But if your surface is not flat, you will have a difficult time getting the motor assembly connected. So I've got a piece of scrappy old chipboard out of my shed, and I'm going to try and level off the just use that to raise this end. I'm going to try and level off the base of the roller assembly in the motor. I've twisted my drive shaft by putting the hex key on, and it's very stiff, but I've twisted my drive shaft so that it's horizontal and vertical. You'll see it's a square, and I want to locate the drive shaft, and you can use the Allen key. It's pretty handy for this. If you can get that Allen key under the 4 sides of the drive shaft, then it's pretty well centered. And if I line up the hole in the hex, look at that, first time, nice and easy. See if I can prove it's not a fluke. I'll pull it apart, bring them together, use my Allen key, top, bottom, left, right. Fits very nicely. If it was a bit tight in one area, I could put a sliver of paper underneath or something. But it's very square. Beautiful, straight on. You should find you have a nice even gap around the hex drive. Right, now we're using the 4 remaining screws which have the dome head. Beautiful, located perfectly. I'd suggest you go diagonally opposite, whichever the first one is you choose to connect. Go diagonally opposite for the next one. And I'm not putting them in too tight initially. I just want to get the 4 screws in a little way, just to make sure it's all lined up. And now they're all in, and I can tighten them all up. I'm going to do it bit by bit, work my way around, not over tighten any one screw, but bring them all to tightness gradually. That way nothing gets out of place. Now, one thing to do as you're going along, before you tighten it too much, just make sure the hex drive is still able to come out. You may not want to pull it out all the way, you may just want to move it to make sure it's loose. We don't want the hex drive jammed in. If we tighten the screws up and we find the hex drive is jammed and we can't get it out, that means your motor is under pressure, something is misaligned. So it should be nice and aligned, and the aluminium hex will come out. Now they're all nicely finger tight, not over tight.
Just got my scraps out of the way. I'm going to take the support out.
They're nicely locked together, so the fact the table's bowed won't have an impact. And if I get my drive roller, line up the hex with the hex, slide it in, get the pin located in the slot, drop it down, make sure my lock is open so the pin goes all the way down, and I can use the slide lock to lock it in place. Not absolutely necessary because all the weight is downhill anyway, but it's a nice little safety feature. And to get the drive roller out, you'll find as the motor's running, it'll tend to push to the right hand side because it's trying to escape the torque of the motor. So when you come to take your drive roller off, the way we do that is move it to the left to give yourself, to put it back in as close as possible. Then lift the right and withdraw the left hand at the same time. So I'll just do that again. It'll naturally move to the right as you're looking at it. So it's left, lift and out. And you should find that works quite easily and smoothly. And if I take my idle rollers, you always want your idle rollers on the nearest possible tooth. It's five teeth, as I call them, on the pivot hook. And you always want it on the nearest possible tooth, which is usually the first one from the majority of felting you'll do. And you'll find if you lift the pivot hook, you've got a bit more space to get the idle roller on. So if there's some felting material on your drive roller, lift the idle hook up, get on the first tooth and let the pivot hook down. The idle roller will sit nicely. There it is, fully assembled. I was going to spin it around so you could have a look, but it's a bit too heavy. We'll now, in the next video, go through the control buttons, but there is our Argenta roller fully assembled and waiting operation. So catch you on the next video.